Hello, everybody, and welcome to Turning Fear into Confidence that Creates Cash. And I'm very excited about today's speaker. She is a spiritual awakening coach, and I'm going to have her explain exactly what that means. So, welcome, Sarah Rose. I'm very excited to have you here today.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. So, yeah, I am a spiritual awakening mentor and conscious leadership coach, and I help primarily women come into alignment with their inner and outer purpose. So, their inner purpose is first and foremost their own ascension journey, and their outer purpose, as a result of coming into alignment with your own ascension journey, it's a natural byproduct to really wake up to the calling within you that is calling you forward to pursue what it is you came here to do as part of your outer purpose, which is what you want to create in the world, what kind of message you have to share, what kind of gift you have to share. And so that's what I refer to as your outer purpose. And I help women come into alignment with both of those.
So, I also know that you help people in elevating their vibration, their mood, and that is so important right now because people, of course, are experiencing all kinds of emotions during this time. Mm-hmm. So, how do I elevate my vibe right now?
Well, shifting your perception, your perception creates your reality. So if you have to this is where heightened awareness is key, because where you're focusing is going to create your reality, and your perception is going to reflect out and create your reality. And when you look into your reality, if you see things that are causing more fear or chaos, it's going to confirm that for you. But if you have two different people operating on two different vibrational frequencies, they're going to experience the same event completely differently, because they're going to have a different mindset, they're going to have a different perception, they're going to have a different reaction, and therefore they're going to have a different result in their reality. So this is really about taking full ownership for what you are creating in your life and stepping out of victimhood as if everything else has that you are you're in the reactive mode. It's time to switch into creator mode and recognize that you are co-creating your reality. And there are things happening that are across the board global, but there are people, if you look closely, there are people experiencing the events completely different. Some people are very much trapped in fear, and others are thriving and seeing the situations completely different.
I hear that a lot of people are thriving right now. Mm-hmm. So give us an idea, give us a few steps on how to get into that thriving mode and how to create some opportunities right now.
So the first thing to recognize is when you are operating from the egoic, fear-driven mind. So the egoic, fear-driven mind is going to be taking you into the future and worrying about things, or it's going to be dwelling in the past, possibly worried about recreating the past. The number one top thing that you can do is start to bring your awareness into the present moment. And cultivating present moment awareness on a daily basis. Most people don't want to hear this because they want a quick fix. How do I elevate my vibe? This is how you elevate your vibe. It's ascending your own vibration from within. The spiritual law of reflection states that your inner reality is going to create your outer reality. So in order to see tangible effects happen and manifest that last and are consistent in your outer reality, you must elevate your vibe. In fact, that's the only thing that you can do that will actually have a long-lasting effect. So I see a lot of people focus on things just like simply the law of attraction, and then they get frustrated and wonder why that's not working for them, when in actuality, law of attraction is working for them, and it's working for you whether you're seeing the things that you like in your reality, and it's working for you whether you see the things that you don't like in your reality, because the law of attraction is indifferent. So what I teach a lot of people is in my programs, I have two programs, one that helps with the spiritual ascension journey and the other one that helps with the sacred leader, messenger, teacher, healer, and light worker really step into their purpose and create a thriving business online. But elevating your vibration from within, when you do that, then the law of attraction is just automatically going to fill attract to you the next level of what you're vibrating. So that means you have to release and let go everything that's bogging down your vibration. So it's not really a perception of how do I raise my vibration. How about switching the perception is how do I let go of everything that is bogging my vibration down? Because you are already a highly energetic magnetic being. It's the thoughts that you're attaching to, or the beliefs that you're attaching to, or the things outside of yourself in your reality that you're attaching to, that you are allowing to validate your identity and then see yourself at a certain vibration, or see yourself at a certain place, or see yourself as a victim, etc., etc., etc. So it's not about necessarily what to do to raise your vibration. It's what to do to release everything that's bogging your vibration down. For example, when you recognize uncertainty in your environment, or there's something that triggers fear, or there's something that triggers an emotion, which is very timely right now, it is imperative that you allow yourself to witness the human emotion, because you are human. You're allowed to have these emotions, but there is quite a bit of difference from witnessing emotion, releasing it and letting it go, versus dwelling on the emotion, going down that rabbit hole of fear, going down that rabbit hole of anxiety, of dread, or of worry, and allowing that to be the point of which you are now creating. So it's about bringing yourself into the present moment when those things hit, and allowing yourself to diffuse the energy by experiencing them and then releasing them. And on a more healing level, on a more spiritual healing level, it's releasing the anger, it's releasing the resentment, it's releasing the things which will naturally cultivate the opposite, which is forgiveness, compassion, acceptance. Ultimately, what is happening right now, even on the global world stage, I feel is a huge catalyst as part of what is referred to as the Great Awakening. And there is a decision to be made of what part of the collective you want to tap into, the collective consciousness. You can tap into the part of the collective that is in victim mode, or that is worrying, because that consciousness is there to tap into, and you will attract more and more thoughts that resonate with that collective. Or you can tap into the collective that is thriving and overcoming and switching that perception, and then you will attract more thoughts and experiences and inspirations by tapping into that collective. All of it is available to you at any moment, but it's only going to be available to you through the present moment, not through the past and not through the future. Those don't really exist. Those are you allowing your mind to take you there, and you are not your mind, and you are not your emotions. You experience those, but you are the soul behind all of that, witnessing it.
So first of all, it's important, of course, to release, right? To release all that negative thinking. And obviously there are different ways to do that, right? We can exercise, movement, getting into some kind of action. That's something that typically helps me. And what I heard you say is step into that present moment, present awareness, where there is no past, where there is no future. And then once I'm in that present moment, that's when I can start creating, right?
That's where you'll start to receive more inspiration and downloads, which then you can take action on. And so you still have dreams and desires that are in the quote unquote future, right? But you're not but you're spending primarily most of your time in the present moment. And then, yes, that's going to be like the portal or the doorway that allows you to connect more to your soul and intuition than the monkey mind, the worrier, the anxiety-ridden part of you that your ego loves to attach to. Your ego will love to attach to that part of you to reinforce its identity, and it will seek out things in the environment that will confirm it for you, and there will be plenty to see because you are the creator of that reality. So it'll constantly be reflecting back to you. So this is why it's really sort of sometimes annoying to listen to someone say, yeah, that's great, Sarah, but when I look at, this is really happening and that's really happening and this is really happening. And so what are you saying? Like that all of this is just my creation and all of this is really happening. So how do I get around it? Well, that's the thing. You have to be able to put the horse back before the carriage, right? You have to get into the co-creative mode, which means you have to be willing enough to tap into the present moment and actually recognize and take full ownership that everything that you're experiencing is part of whatever you're energetically available for, and is creating your reality. But you have to recognize it, and you start to use it as a way for your own soul ascension and growth. So the question when you look out into your reality is not, well, poor me, so and so, this is actually happening, that's actually happening, that's actually happening, and approaching it from like a victim, poor me, woe's me mindset. Then that's just going to keep perpetuating the problem, because you are still at the effect of things. You're not the cause yet. So when you start to look at the things in your reality and you say, why is this happening? What would I have to believe to be true in order for me to be experiencing that right now? What would have to be the belief that's running under my radar that would cause that to be existing right now? What is the thing? What is the overall virtue or the essence that I would have to embody in order to overcome this right now? And you'll start to ask that question, and the answers will be confidence, forgiveness, acceptance, love, and all of these kind of things will start to come, because it's going to be what do I have to embody in order to overcome this hurdle? Or, so it's about asking those questions, which will trigger the spiritual laws like no other to start to deliver to you the answers that you need. Because now your questions, there's a way to ask questions, and if you're asking the questions from poor me, why is this happening, and you're looking out into your world and taking no accountability for it, and you're still in the victim mindset as if everything's happening to you instead of for you, the answers will be there, but you won't see them because you're not yet ready to integrate them. But the moment you have the willingness to start to integrate them, and you start to ask them from a higher perspective for your own soul ascension and journey, that's when the magic starts to happen. And that's when this is the spiritual law of request in full effect. This is the spiritual law of free will, where you have free will, meaning you can bang your head around for as long as you want. Your guides and your angels and everybody here to help you will allow you to do that, because it's your free will and you came here to experience whatever it is you're experiencing. But at any moment you get to implement this law of free will by making choices and decisions to ask for the higher lesson. And this is where the spiritual law of request comes in. And when you are really asking the real question, not the victim mindset question, but the real questions that will ascend you in your soul's journey, the answer is always given. Ask and you shall receive, right?
Give me an example of a real question. Give us some examples.
Okay, so a real question would be, so for part of my story is, one of my first breakthroughs with the spiritual law of request, I share this on one of my first podcast episodes, is when I was really going through a turbulent time in my life, and my finances were collapsing. My engagement was failed and just broke that off. My health was a nightmare. I had, gut health issues, no immune system, getting sick with pneumonia, stress, anxiety, worry, buried in debt, like my dad just died, like all of it. So all of the biggies, death, finances, health, like love, relationship, everything was tower moment, collapsing. I could have looked at myself as a victim in that and been very angry, which for a lot of years I was very much in victim mindset, not asking for the bigger questions and stuff like that. But the moment I stood outside of a bookstore and I asked, please show me what I need to heal for my next step. Please show me the next step on my journey that will help me move forward. Please show me. So this is willing to see something different. I am willing to see differently. I am willing to perceive differently. Please show me the higher wisdom in this situation. Please show me the higher wisdom in why this is happening. Guide me, show me, I'm ready. So these are ways that you can start to ask from a higher perspective. Ask for the signs, ask for the synchronicities, ask for it to be shown and revealed to you, the higher lesson, the higher awareness or the higher wisdom that's trying to make its way into your life through some of these experiences, and ask for pray for that instead of praying for the actual thing to just go away, or instead of praying for more money or praying for the soulmate or praying for the new house or the new car or the new job. That's just the Band-Aid. That's just the quick fix that we think we need to make ourselves happy. What's real, these are just external manifestations that are reflections. So instead, ask for the lesson when something's collapsing in your life or when something looks uncertain. And this is where you'll ask, what kind of virtue, and this is when you're doing your self-reflection, maybe through journaling and meditation and stuff like that, you start to journal out, what would I have to embody to move past this situation? You know, let's say it's a turbulent relationship where you're not being appreciated and you're not being loved and you're stuck in relationships that are, you know, that are taking advantage of you, or this or that. What would I have to embody for this to overcome this? Self-respect, confidence, self-love, a sense of worthiness. The answers will start to come to you. And this is your job then, to embody these things and start to embody them through healthy boundaries and stuff like that. But the moment I asked that question outside of a bookstore, I walked into the bookstore when I asked for, please show me my next step. It's very simple. Spirit doesn't have to, it's not very, it doesn't have to be long and detailed. It's just when you're willing and ready, this is an intentional thing. This is a surrendering thing. This is saying, I don't need to be in control anymore. Okay, I'm open for the support and the guidance. Spirit led me to a book. I just made, and it was me just walking to the back of the bookstore. I didn't look at any other books. I just walked straight back to the back, hundreds of books everywhere. Went to one book, pulled it off of the shelf, looked at it. It was a bright yellow book. And then put it back on the shelf and walked out. Because wow. I started to make so many excuses on how I was too busy for that book. I was taking a yoga therapy class at the time. I had a ton of anatomy books to read. So I made an excuse that book was, I was too busy for it. So I left. Simultaneously while that was happening, even though I couldn't afford it, I charged a writer's workshop in San Francisco to my credit card because I wanted to be a writer. And so I had that trip planned. And I was going to my fitness instructor, and she was talking to me after class about a day after that bookstore. And she was saying, you know, you're doing so much for your health and so much for everything. Like, you're eating healthy, you're working out, you're being fit, you're doing this and that. Like, you shouldn't still have all these issues. Because I still had all the health issues, even though I was like the healthiest sick person I knew. I still had all the health issues, even though I was clean eater, organic. I was vegan for a while. I was doing all these things. And she's like, I have a book you need to read. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to a workshop. I don't really have time for a book, but thank you. And she didn't tell me what the name of it was. I had one more class with her before I left, and she didn't listen to me, and she brought me her only copy, and she walked me out to my car, and she gave me her only copy, and it was the same book from the bookstore. Wow. So I kept the book, and I was like, okay, this is starting to get a little weird, so I'm going to keep this book, and I'm going to take it, and I'm going to read it on the airplane. So I started to read it on the airplane. And when I showed up to my writer's workshop in San Francisco, I didn't put two and two together because I was not a Hay House fan at the moment, because I wasn't aware. I wasn't ready for those kind of materials. My mom gave me like The Secret like 10 years ago, and I never read it because I wasn't ready for any of this kind of information yet, because I still had a lot of soul growth to do. But I showed up at this conference, and it was a Hay House writers conference, and the book that was given to me was, Hay House was the publisher of that book. It was for sale in the back of the room. Everybody had a copy of it, and everybody there, hundreds of people, had read it and were carrying it with them. And so I was like sitting in the hotel lobby reading my book, and there was a million like people, oh my God, you're going to love that book. You haven't read it yet? And everybody there read it, obviously, because I was sitting at the publisher's event for that specific book.
Amazing. So you got some signs.
Yeah, so the signs were, and then I came back home after that, had an amazing weekend, manifested so many things just because I think the universe was showing me this, like, this is how it really works. So I started to work intentionally, and I manifested like $30,000 in real estate transactions while I was away. When I came back, I made so much money. I was worried I wasn't even going to be able to afford the trip. By the time I got back, I manifested all these cash deals while I was at the retreat. I had clients call and say, I want to come in and buy a cash house, and my neighbors want to buy a cash house. We're coming in. I'm like, I'm not there. I won't be there until like Monday or Tuesday. I'm at a conference. He's like, well, we're not there yet either. We're in Vegas. We'll be there Monday or Tuesday. So it's perfect timing. So I came back and like all my money, you know, so it was like everything was lining up and I was getting a glimpse of like what it's really like to create your reality. Here I was worried about whether I could afford to go. And I came back with like making more money in a few weeks than I made that entire quarter. In cash sales that were like 5-day transactions, like the easiest transactions you could ever think of. And the final kicker was I was getting to my yoga therapy program, which is a 3-year program, 2 to 3 year program. I was in it for 3 years. And there were several books that were required reads for the program. And I guess you can probably guess which book was a required read for this program the entire time.
So share the name of the book. What was the top?
It was You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
Oh, You Can Heal Your Life. Yes, that's a beautiful book.
So I was standing outside the bookstore and my intention was, please show me my next step.
Oh, that was the book. I got it. Okay. Beautiful.
Show me my next step to heal my life, right? So for my next step to heal what was going on, because I would, you know, and that's what I was led to. And so spirit will talk to you in synchronicities. So it'll speak to you in metaphors, symbolism, you know, dreams. You'll overhear a conversation, whether it's at the, you know, at the grocery store, you'll hear a conversation that was just like you just heard it and it just registered and resonated with you, or you'll see a book or you'll see a title or something, you know, you'll start to receive synchronicity. So spirit will speak to you in many ways when you're starting to ask the right questions.
So I heard you mention that you have a lot of advice for people that want to start their business online. And so let's assume that I am in that creative mode, I'm vibing high. So what advice would you have for me to get started? I mean, a lot of speakers, experts tell me, find a problem to solve and get started. What's your take on that?
Well, I specifically, you know, I'm a spiritual coach and a spiritual transformation coach, and I specifically help women in the area of creating a purpose-driven business. So they're really awakening to their calling and their purpose, and want to turn their purpose into a thriving online business. So I can speak to that. So this is, yes, you're solving a problem because your client has pain points and they want a result and they want a solution, and your job is to position yourself with something that will allow them to reach their goals. But most of the women that are attracted to me are some form of a transformation coach in some way, shape, or form. So they are a natural born teacher, healer, like you were saying. People probably come to them a lot for advice and this and that, and they've probably already overcome so much in their own life and their own journey that now they're feeling called to help others with the, you know, in that area. So what I say oftentimes, if you're a purpose-driven entrepreneur and you're trying to discover your niche of who you're here to serve so you can start your business, a lot of times what I see women fall into the trap of, and I say women because that's just primarily who I serve, but obviously there are men on the purpose-driven path as well. They start to confuse their passions with their purpose and their calling. And those are two different things. So for example, I'm very passionate now about holistic healing, and health and organic food and green beauty and travel and nature and all of these things. And I could build a business on each and every one of those if I wanted, but me being multi-passionate and having passions is not the same as my ultimate purpose of what I'm here to help people do. So it's really about owning your gift, which is not necessarily the same as something that is just a passion. It's really about owning your gift and going through that process, uncovering what your true natural gift is and what you're feeling called to share or create in the world, and then creating from that place. But I teach on it has to be soul aligned from the get-go. So it has to be in alignment with who you're truly here to serve. It's probably likely a younger version of yourself that you're helping now pull up the ranks because you've already been there, done that. So it's something that you've gotten results for in your life, or that you help other people get results for in their life. It's likely a combination of both. Whether you're starting out or you've already been doing it, I recommend from the get-go that you build it from that place. It's completely soul aligned, and you build it so it's scalable from day one.
I definitely am a person that has multiple passions. Okay. I'm easily bored. So I do a lot of things and then I start something new. So tell me, give me a little advice how I can find out that something is really my sole purpose. And I know it might go back to stillness and asking those questions that you talked about earlier. But is there something else I can do to really figure out that I'm aligned with my soul purpose? Because I love so many different things, just like you. Yoga, nutritious food, and coaching, and emotional intelligence, and business, and so many different things. So how do I know that I'm aligned with my soul purpose?
Because you'll know that you're in alignment when you're in alignment with your soul purpose. Your day, every single day will feel like synchronicity is a natural state. That's like your natural state when you're in alignment, right? So first and foremost, you're going to know because your soul is going to be confirming this for you, and so are your guides and angels, like when you're in complete alignment. So you got to start asking I don't believe you seek your purpose, you become aware of your purpose. So I see people like seeking desperately to find their purpose. Like, what's my purpose? It's more of receiving your purpose. It's more of allowing it to come through. Recognizing that we are multi-passionate beings. We are allowed to love all of these different things, but it's more about allowing it to come through. There's something naturally innate in you that is a talent that you possess, that is a gift. And here's a little tip on how to find it. It's likely something that you've been suppressing your whole life. It's likely something that you've even been ashamed for your whole life. So for example, part of my story is I've always been shamed for being too loud or bossy or opinionated or rebellious or something along those lines. But these are part of my natural talents as a leader and as an influencer. I'm not here to not question things. I'm here to break the mold and seek outside of the box and align with principle above anything else, and question authority, and you know what I mean, and be a free thinker. And this is part of my natural gift, yet it was also something that I was shamed for. For another example, you might be shamed for being super sensitive. So you might be, let's say, a highly sensitive person or an empath, and for a long time you were shaming yourself for that or hiding yourself from being too sensitive, when in actuality it can be your sword, but it's also your gift. So it's a double edge, right? So it's finding that thing that you're naturally talented and gifted at, even though you have passions and all of these other things. Like, this is the natural thing that you are, that you've likely been suppressing your whole life. So you can start to ask self-reflective questions like, what would really light me up? If I could just work with anybody right now, which one feels amazing? Not which one could I do because I'm good at it. Not which one could I do because I'm knowledgeable at it. Not which one could I do because I love doing it necessarily. Like, I love organic beauty, but does it really light me up to be a green beauty, YouTube influencer, just, doing green, you know what I mean? That's an option. I could really create a business just doing that if that's truly what my passion was, right? But it's about, yes, I love those things, and I love fitness, and I love holistic health, but does it really, really light me up to teach someone how to eat organic? Even though I can, and I'm well educated on it, and I've healed my own life through that. So that's one of my branding stories, like me being able to come full circle and healing my own body naturally through holistic health and through meditation. These are part of what make me unique and part of my own branding stories. But it's not like the thing that I want to build my business around, because it's a passion and it's an interest and I'm good at it, but it's not necessarily what lights me up. So you really have to start asking the question, if I could work with anybody right now, which one would just be so amazing that it wouldn't feel like work, that I would want to jump out of bed every morning to do it?
Yes.
It would be exhilarating and it would be exciting. That's your answer. You're getting a little closer to the prize, as far as like, where you should start if you're just starting out. Like, it has to be soul aligned. You're going to be lit up from the inside out, and only that will do. If you're settling, like if you're starting to ask yourself, well, which one can I make money in? Which one's in the highest demand? Which one has less competition out there? Which one is blah, blah, blah. Like, a lot of people will tell you, they'll tell you to be probing outside of yourself, your external reality, for the solution to figure out who you should be serving, when in actuality, that's the opposite. It should be coming from within first and foremost.
Now that was the powerful message here. What lights you up, and how do you know? Are you excited to get up in the morning? Are you excited to start your day? Now that I could feel that. So that is beautiful, and feeling it all over your body, I think that means you are really in alignment with your soul purpose. So thank you for that. I have one last question for you, Sarah. So what would the 80-year-old Sarah tell the present Sarah? What message do you want to give yourself from your older self?
To make sure you're having fun along the way.
Have fun along the way. Thank you so much. Now, how can people find you and get in touch with you?
My website is sarah-rose.net, and that links to everything, my podcast. It links to hopping on my newsletter. It links to my programs, which is right now is Sacred Leader Academy, and it links to my free master classes as well.
Beautiful. And do you want to offer a free gift today?
Yeah, I have several. If you go to my website, it's sarah-rose.net. There's some free master classes that are amazing depending on where you're at in your journey. So there's the two that I would recommend based on this audience and this conversation would be Receiving Soul Guidance for Instant Clarity. That's a free master class, how to receive soul guidance for instant clarity. And the other one that I would highly recommend, if you're already a spiritual entrepreneur or a conscious entrepreneur, or you're wanting to get started, it's called Less Hustle, More Flow for the Busy Spiritual Entrepreneur. So that takes you out of burnout and helps you get more into the flow and recognizing how to balance the masculine and the feminine energies within you so that you can be in alignment instead of overwhelm and hustle and stuff like that.
Amazing. Thank you for that. So that's beautiful. So I can find some guidance on your website. I so enjoyed having you here today and speaking with you. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm certain that our paths will cross again. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.